I want to thank Mohammed and Ranu and Bob and the organizers of this event. Being that we're here in Miami, I think we felt it was important that at least we had one session where we looked to our neighbors and colleagues and partners that are very close by. And I'm just delighted that we have this outstanding group of panelists here today because there are perspectives. There are perspectives from Latin America and Central America that are different from the perspectives that we deal with in engineering education, from which I think we can learn. And of course, there's a lot of cross-pollination. I grew up as a military brat, but my family is originally from Puerto Rico. And when we moved to Puerto Rico, this was very formative years. I was starting high school. And I have to tell you that the biggest influence on me as far as thinking about an engineering career was the fact when I arrived there in that society, there had been 2 former governors who were engineers. You were never the Secretary of Transportation or Public Works unless you were an engineer. You were not the head of the planning board unless you were an engineer or an architect. The Professional Engineers Society had the same esteem as the Bar Association and the Medical Association, and the role of a career of an engineer was broad, not simply narrow in depth, but it was broad. I never saw this as anything that was going to narrow what one can do. I realized later, honestly, when I came back to the mainland to do graduate work, that we were not nearly as far up on speed here as there. But that is also the case in many of the countries that are represented here. So we talk about this question of images and things and so on. I think there's a lot to be learned from what the culture is in Latin America and in Europe and other places. I think some of that will be shared. Now, the 4 invited guests that we have here, and I'm absolutely delighted that you have been willing to come here. I'm going to share a little bit about them each, and then I'm going to turn it over to them for their presentations and discussions. Immediately to my left, Dr. Cecilia Paredes Verdure is the academic vice rector or vice chancellor at the Escuela Superior Politécnica del Litoral, ESPOL, right? That's what the ESPOL stands for, in Ecuador. But she's also the immediate past president of ASEE, which is a Latin American and Caribbean consortium of engineering institutions. And she led the process of ABET accreditation for all of her programs at ESPOL. This is a top public university in Ecuador, over 10,000 undergrads, 1,500 grad students, primarily in engineering, but also economics, business administration, and other programs. She's an academic member of the National Council for Higher Ed of Ecuador. Her graduate degrees are in ceramics engineering from Rutgers, and she's been very active in those areas as well. Immediately to her left, Javier Paez Saavedra. Dean Saavedra is the Dean of Engineering at the University del Norte, Uninorte. This is in Barranquilla, Colombia, a lovely place to visit because I've been there. He also has Masters of Business Administration degrees in finance and taxation. He was the founding vice president of the Americas IFES. IFES is the International Federation of Engineering Education Societies. President of ASEE was an Ibero-American Association of Engineering Education, also been involved with ASEE, and president of ACOFI, the Colombian Association of Engineering Colleges that we're going to hear a lot about. They also have ABET accreditation at Uninorte, and Javier has been part of the EDI now for a number of years. Then to his immediate left, Dr. Nilza Aples, right? Nilza is the Dean of Engineering and Computing at the University of Technology in Jamaica. She's also Vice President of Graduate Education of the ASEE Board. She's represented the ASEE Engineering Deans at a number of forums. She's a member of the Caribbean Accreditation Council for Engineering and Technology, which was formed with the assistance of IEEE. Nilza's degrees are in chemical engineering, including a bachelor's degree in chemistry from ISPJAE, this is in Cuba, and a PhD in chemical engineering from Universidad del Oriente in Cuba, and her work is in energy, waste management, and materials. But she brings to us a very diverse perspective of the Caribbean. And then finally, to her left, Dr. Carlos Costa Posada, who leads ACOFI. ACOFI is one of the largest engineering deans, councils, and engineering education societies in Latin America, over 113 member institutions in which 85% of the Colombian engineering programs are part of. He's a civil engineer from Universidad de los Andes, his PhD is from Cambridge, but he's also the former Minister of Environment, Housing, and Development for the Republic of Colombia. He is a case of an individual who has projected into the political sectors and impacts like that, and I think those perspectives are very, very vital to a lot of the conversation that we have. So I'm delighted to have them here. Please give them a quick round of applause, okay, for being here, all right? And I'm going to turn this over to Cecilia. Each one of them will share a presentation with you, and then after that, we'll open it up for questions. And Cecilia, todo tuyo.
Thank you.
Right.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing in ESPOL, Polytechnic Institution, public institution. Well, Ecuador is right on the equator. We have 3 regions, about 15 million people. We just held elections, presidential elections yesterday. And ESPOL is right on Guayaquil, which is a coastal city. It's the capital of Guayas province, and we have around 2.4 million people there. So ESPOL was founded about almost 59 years ago. It's a polytechnic. 70% of our programs are engineering. We have a 720-hectare campus, really unique in Ecuador. And in the 1990s, that's where we moved to that campus, and that's when we also started to talk about research, because we were a very good and excellent teaching university, but we wanted to start doing some research. In 2000, we had help from Belgian government, from programs where we seriously pushed for some applied research in different areas. We had been accredited since 2009. Mandatory accreditation is in place in Ecuador in the top category. And in 2014, we got 2 of our first 2 programs got accredited with ABET, and our business programs accredited with ASEE. This is our vision, to be a reference in international education, and also our mission is to educate professionals with values around problem solving and to solve problems from not just our country, but from the region. These are numbers. We have about 928 professors and instructors, 91 tenure. We have I tried to frame it in the US venue, but it's a 91 tenure, 154 in tenure track. 83% of our professors and instructors are full-time. Out of the 928, only 239 have PhDs from top universities all over the world. All of them have masters. And then currently we have about 87 professors getting their PhDs in top universities currently. And 26 of our students are getting their masters as well. We have around 12,500 students, 11,000 as an undergrad, so we're primarily an undergrad university, and about 1,500 students in 16 of our graduate programs. We have graduated around 25,000 students, professionals now, and just to know the composition in terms of women and men, for our students, 41% are women and 59% are men. But in our engineering programs, it drops down a little bit to 30. So we have been under major rethinking of our curricula and of our programs. And we're going to actually start with brand new programs in this coming May. Our purpose in these programs are to educate, to promote reasoning in our students. Our focus in education is reasoning, bioconsciousness, entrepreneurship, systematic thinking, knowledge contextualization. And for that, we have determined that all of our graduates are going to have the following learning outcomes. It doesn't matter if they're engineers or not. We also, being a public institution, we are trying to entice our students to think about the Millennium Goals of Development, and that they're working and they're going to get their degrees paid. Education in Ecuador is free. Gratuity is it's mandatory for public institutions. So since they're getting their university paid by the taxes of all Ecuadorians, they need to think about why they're there and what they're going to do once they go out. And we have been talking about our curriculum development in terms of what is it that it's needed out there. And more than our technical knowledge, which is very important, we're very recognized for. Now we're talking about what a professional should have, in terms of communication and to be empathic, constant learning, because knowledge is changing. So this is our institutional learning outcomes. We're working in communication skills, both in English and Spanish, long life learning, teamwork, entrepreneurship. They have to know contemporary issues, and of course, ethics and professional responsibility that they have. So we have, as I mentioned, gone under a lot of change, and now we're trying to implement this. And for that, we have developed what we call curriculum routes, which I'm going to explain in this graph. This is I think it's a mechanical engineering I don't know if it's... Mechanical engineering, yes. So on the top, you'll not see it very well, but these are our 7 learning outcomes, and they're all now attached to more than one course. What we're saying now is, it used to be thinking that since we had expression or communication 1, that learning outcome for the ability to improve communication was only the fault or the good done of the professors in that course. And as I tell my faculty, it's an ability. You need to work with our students over and over again until they get it. And this is not one person or one professor's responsibility. It has to be all of us. So now I'm making them, forcing them to talk, not just vertically, but horizontally, and talk and see where we at the end of this curriculum and at the end of this program, and see if we're doing things right or wrong. If we're doing wrong, then we have to correct it. This is both, again, not just for engineering, but for non-engineering program. This is graphic design. So we have developed like a first-year general first-year education, where we get them to go through design thinking and problem solving and communication and programming. Everybody in SPOL is programming. And one of the other things that we didn't have before is, especially for engineers, that they're going to have to take 9 humanity type courses. This was a big fight with engineers. They didn't want us to change that. And also English. We're the only university in Ecuador that have 5 courses for students to get to learn English. We have a public institution, and then we have students from all kinds of backgrounds in terms of economically, and they come from different types of school, private and public institution, public education in K through 12. It's not that good in Ecuador as well. So we have worked that because this revolution that we're going through, it's because we have a solid education based in science and math. We have top qualified faculty as well. And we also are learning from what we've experienced before. In our case, was the ABET SPOL project since we started in 2008. These are some examples of our learning environments. We have a writing center. We have English clubs for our students. We have studying clubs. We are encouraging students we're telling them that these abilities they're going to need when they're professionals, we cannot teach them only in classes, or we cannot help them only in classes. They have to do things outside. They have expositions, they have project-based learning, gamification. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we went through ABET, which was like the seed for us to rethink what we were going to do in terms of curriculum development. We started in 2008, 2014, we got mechanical engineering and computer science accredited, and then we just went through a process for all the other 4 programs. So these were measurements we took in terms of our outcomes at that time, and before accreditation and after accreditation. These are questions that we ask our stakeholders, industries, and people that hire our students, and you can definitely see a big difference in terms of what they saw before our accreditation and after our accreditation, 2012, 2015. Unfortunately, we didn't do this with all the programs, since this is also computer science, and we saw the same thing. So I'm not saying that because we went through ABET we went through ABET, and this was the reason why we got these results, but we saw it as a continued improvement process in terms of we're going to get accredited. We're going to be better, and we have to find a way to be better to enable for our students to be professionals of the future and professionals of excellence. These are the measurements for these 4 current programs that we just went through. And they're good. We don't have before and after, but we also are very happy. We have to work on some of the outcomes. This is just to brag. We have our graduates in the community, so I'm just going to go through. One of the things Martin asked me to talk about is internationalization, which I think is very important. Having students that not necessarily are able to go outside Ecuador, we have to rethink about what we're going to do, our strategies in terms of internationalization, in particular because we want to educate our students to be global citizens, professionals that can work anywhere. And we understand this is a two-way exchange, and for that, that's what we press very much for our faculty to go out and get their PhDs and to come back. So we're hiring from all over the world, which is very hard for them to convince them to go to a beautiful country, but a small country. But we are working in terms of pushing our students, pushing our faculty, and trying to get creative ways to get our students to experience the internationalization process. In terms of research, a little bit, these are our main areas, and we started a little bit with RBL. Since we just started this about 3-4 years ago, we have 2 programs that are in network with Belgium and other universities from Ecuador, and we have designed our programs based in research-based learning, which is, it's also the co-teaching part and being a network, it's also a challenge for us, but it's going very well. We're trying to get our professors to get out of how they learn in terms of basic courses and how do they teach in terms of research-based learning. So we're just starting, we don't have many results, but we're happy with it. And that's what I have to say.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Javier?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank to the EDI for the invitation to be part of this panel. And I can tell you before that my institution, my Universidad del Norte, is institutional member of ASEE since 2012. And then that gave me the opportunity to be part of to participate in the EDI meeting conference before, and also the ERC conference before. What I'm gonna do before is to tell you something about the city. Universidad del Norte is in Barranquilla, Colombia. Barranquilla is in the north of the country, located on the Caribbean Sea. It's called the Golden Gate of Colombia because everything entered to Colombia through Barranquilla. For example, the first airline in Colombia, it was established in Barranquilla. We are the number 4 city in the country. I think probably the 3rd one in a couple of years because the economic role of Barranquilla is really important recently. Our population, 1,230,000. That is the population of the city. And we are the major sea and river port of Colombia. This is some picture of the city. It's a modern city, it's cosmopolitan. And we received in the beginning of the last century, we received people from all over the world. Many people from Europe, many people from Middle East, especially from Lebanon. And that gives the city a new view. It's very cosmopolitan. This is a map of what is happening in front of the coast of Colombia. This is what is happening related to oil and gas, offshore exploration. And everything is in front of the city. And we have received good news for the result of that exploration. I don't know exactly if they are good news or bad news, but the thing is that we are going to have oil and gas in front of the city. Probably we are going to need partners to attend all the needs we are going to have in the future. One more thing about the area, Atlántico is the department. We are Barranquilla. The state is Atlántico. Atlántico is the number two state in a top 10 large South American state of the future 2016 and 17.
Business.
That is a good position for the state. And also I can tell you that we are the 21st place in the ranking of the best city for doing business in Latin America that is related to our city. Universidad del Norte. Now I'm going to tell you something about Universidad del Norte. It was established in 1966. We are a really young institution. We are a private, non-profit institution. We were founded by companies in the region in order to solve the needs that they have related to professionals. We were the fourth institution in Colombia to receive the high quality accreditation by the National Accreditation Agency, that is CNA, because the name in Spanish in 2003. Talking about the college, I can tell you that in the college we have 4,000 students, more or less. In the case of undergraduate programs, we have 3,700 students in 6 programs. You can see in the picture that our biggest program is industrial engineering, and that is the same in the rest of the country. That is the biggest. The second one is civil, the same in the country. And the third one is mechanical, that's the same in the country. If you try to see numbers in the country, that is the ranking of the most popular programs in Colombia. I can tell you about our programs, that all programs in Colombia are 5 years. They have an average, in my institution, 155 credits. And I can tell you, in addition, that all our students need to get a B2 as a level of English at the end of the programs. Then all our alumni, they have at least B2 in level in English. This is the case of Master of Science. Our Master of Science is really similar to this type of programs here in US, 3 semesters, and there are really small programs, around 88 students in all the programs. And in the case of PhD, I can tell you that we have a PhD in the same areas. We have master and also undergraduate programs, and that type of master, there are 4 years program. The model we have for PhD program is really similar to US programs, not like European programs. It means that we have a very important number of courses and also the research. And in addition, we have a couple of professional master programs. That is a type of program that they don't have thesis, that is 4 semester programs. We have the accreditation for all the programs we have in the college. In 2010, we obtained accreditation from ABET, and last year we obtained the re-accreditation. And this is because this is very important for us, because what we are thinking in Universidad del Norte is that we want to be more global. And ABET means that, or ABET could be a quality ID for us to be more global. Talking about gender distribution in the college, I can tell you that in blue you can see male, masculine, and in orange, female. In the case of industrial engineering, you can see that we have half and half, female and masculine. And that is the reason, because in total for the whole college, the number of, or the proportion of female is 31%. I think it's a good number, and we are working to try to motivate more women to be part of the college in the other areas. Talking about faculty, higher degree distribution, I can tell you something that in this moment, 67% of our faculty they have a PhD, and only 33% of them, they have master at least. It's important to tell you that it's not common in Colombia for the faculty having PhD. It's really it's not common. Probably we are one of the 2 or 3 institutions that we have a very low, very high level in proportion of PhD faculty. And you can see in the picture the name of institution that the faculty have got the PhD. Some universities in US, some in Europe, and we have a balance if each one better. We are working to have in 2019 72% of our faculty with PhD, and to do that, for example, we have people in Australia, in Belgium, in United Kingdom, and also in USA. Talking about research, then I can tell you that our research in the college is focused on applied research. We have a strong collaboration with companies in the area, in the north coast of the country. And it's important to tell you also that the most important area we have for research is energy, focus on renewable energy, energy efficiency. But also we have a list of areas in which we do research. You can see that it's really similar with what you have here in US. This is, for example, the areas that called Ciencias, the organization the governmental institution in Colombia who works for research. They say that this is the areas that the country is interested. Scientific and technological development areas, they say that health, food, and renewable energy. And talking about multipurpose technologies, nanotechnology and materials, biotechnology, ICT. Talking about internationalization, I can say that our students go to different parts all over the world, some of them to US. I don't know why my assistant put 2 planes from Colombia to Europe, but only one is okay. But an important group of people go to Brazil. That is what is happening with the people. But also we receive students from different areas in the world also. This is the most important, the favorite program for all our students to get a dual degree in different other countries. For example, we have collaboration with Armetier in France, with Grenoble, with Politecnico de Milan, with ENIM, with Hochschule in Bremen. But I put in the middle the picture of USF, University of South Florida, because I think this is the most important partner for us in the US. And also because my son is in the middle of the picture of the of that graduation ceremony. My son graduated in USF also. I think we can stop here.
Okay,
Continue
great.
talking later.
Gracias, Javier.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Javier. Nilza? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am thanking EDI, and in particular the 2 deans organizing of this conference for inviting us, the University of Technology Jamaica, to be part of this international conference. This University of Technology is located in Jamaica. Jamaica is one of the largest Antilles, and I think most people know Jamaica because of the reggae music, because of the Olympic Championships, and because of the jerk food. Our university is really located in Kingston, Jamaica, the main campus, and is close to a particular town that we call in Papin, that soon is going to be one of these smart towns closer to the university. The history and the background of our university was established in 1958 as the Jamaican Institute of Technology. This is the time that we recall that our Faculty of Engineering and Computing started as created because we graduated the first 3 engineers in construction in Jamaica in 1958. The change to the College of Arts, Science, and Technologies in 1959, before Jamaica was independent from the UK, and it was granted university status in 1995. The university vision is to offer innovative, transformational, profession-driven, and leading-edge programs, having in place high qualified staff who are professionally competent, innovative, and leaders in their own field, operate with high quality environment, resulting in recognition for its leadership in entrepreneurship, research, technology innovation, and exceptional customer care. The well-known and respected UTEC brand, globally competent, versatile, innovative, entrepreneurial graduates, a positive impact on society. Entrepreneurship is really very close to Jamaican society. You find that people prefer to have their own business. So our graduates, our students, have been taught, all of them, compulsory entrepreneurship in our educational program. The mission of our university is to stimulate positive change in the Caribbean society through provision of a high-quality learning and research opportunities and service to our community. These 3 areas, the research, the teaching and learning and service, is part of our university act and is what is driving the programs that we offer. Today, our university has over 12,256 students. The gender ratio is the male 44% and female 56%. This is the entire university. But if we look into the School of Engineering and Computing, the average is really 12% is female. The majority of our students are really male. Also happening to the staff, there are few females in engineering. I think I end up mostly in meetings by myself. I am the only female into most of my engineers colleagues. The international student population in our university go across the Caribbean region, the USA, Canada, Germany, Sri Lanka, Nigeria, and also Namibia. We have 3 colleges and 5 faculties. There is one faculty that is engineering and computing with 2 schools, one school for engineering and another school for computer science and information technologies. The colleges are mainly in the science side, like oral sciences, pharmaceutical, and in business. There is something that we are very proud of in our university. We had these headlines about welcome to the University of Technology, the world-class athlete. Sport is one of the UTEC brands, and we contribute to the 42 to 46% of the last 2 Olympics medal tallies. We have the gold medalist for the 100 meters, 200 meters is one of our current students, and the past 100 gold medal is also the university ambassador. She graduated from our university. Another brand from our university is that all our first-year students have to complete 40 hours of community service. This year, we can account for 4,930 days of voluntary services. These voluntary services, the students write reports and also do presentation. Also, they go overseas for conference to present the papers to forecast the work that they do in community service. The student demographic by faculty is as follows. The largest number our students goes to business, entrepreneurship, and solving in Jamaica. And the second largest is us, is our faculty. We representing the 18%. In terms of our faculty academic qualifications, the 64% of our staff have a master's degree. We have done a lot of work trying to increase the ratio from more PhDs and master, but what happened to our staff is that in most cases when they come into the United States and complete their PhD, they would not return to the university. In most cases, they come back, they finish the thesis, we allow them, facilitate them to complete, and they leave us. So there is a lot of revision and discussion with our Minister of Education because there is the hindered problems that we have is compensation. So the staff is not there. Also, the engineers in the industry salaries are very high in Jamaica when you compare to academics. So it's difficult for us to keep full-time staff that has this type of qualification. Therefore, what we could say is that around 95 of our engineers are professional engineers. Also, the university is registered as an engineering institution. This is one of the advantages that we have for. Our faculty have focusing doctoral studies in several universities across the globe. There is a lot of our staff that graduated from the United States and the UK. Those are basically the major focus. Some others are going to a different countries because there are many programs offered by the embassies, for example, in Japan and also in China, that offer a scholarship. So that facilitates that our staff, academic staff, to upgrade their degrees. In particular, our faculty has some highlights. It's basically driven by the way that we look at our educational programs. We have this age in practicality of our graduates that came since the university was a college and became a university. We are saying that our graduates are ready to the industry. This is how our graduates are known in the region. Therefore, our students to graduate from the engineering program have to complete 400 hours in industrial work. This industrial work is normally focused in the third and fourth years of the program. And the student working projects in the industry definitely not at the university to complete in there. And they cannot graduate if they have not completed this work experience. The another innovation that we have introduced in our program is the bilingual aspect of it. We realized that as an English-speaking country in the region, we are in the minority. To provide our students mobility, we have introduced this bilingual program in Spanish. And it's been rolling out for the entire university to have as a compulsory for a second language in education. Our students also, as part of this bilingual program, are required to have an immersion in a Spanish-speaking university. Currently, the students go to Cuba, but there are some MOU that we have signed up with the universities in Colombia, also in Puerto Rico, that our students can also spend the immersions there. The accreditation program, process for our program, have emphasized the importance of the immersion. So this is something that we are selling our program for. Our students, as well as in Colombia, they challenge the DELE exam, that is an international Cervantes exam for Spanish. And after they have completed the program, they're supposed to complete the B2 level for Spanish. We are proud of our graduates, and this is something that every graduation we boast about because basically we have the largest valedictorians for the graduation class, and they are mostly chemical engineers. And the university also offers in graduations a president's pin, and since was installed in 2005, every year the highest GPA is really in engineering and computing. So this is something that we are really proud of our graduates. When we look at how the programs are being designed for us, and I recall the presentation earlier about project center approach, this is something that we are proud of. We have developed some different centers. The Waste Management Center is one of these examples that is going to support the Master of Science in Holistic Waste Management with 7 universities in Latin America that is funded by UNEP. But also we have another center that is called Sabna. Sabna in Hinduism is called Dream. Is focusing in the computing and engineering programs. In this program, the students work in projects from the second year. They basically teach themselves to achieve some goals, and they work in projects that are national and international. They have developed, for example, they developed a university map, also the university app. It came as an initiative from the students. They realized that when the students reach the university, they don't know where to find the places. So they came on, and this is part of some of the Sabna initiative forecasted. They have working projects that have earning incomes, and for example, there is a database that was developed for the Ministry of Energy to collect the energy data for the modeling of the industry energy balances for the country. Is going to be rolled for the entire CARICOM. This is part of one of the student results. In terms of research, I have brought some of the major examples in the last year. Basically, we have completed this project that is a solar hydrogen project. It was funded by the EU ASEE, and in collaboration with University of Brunel from the UK, from the University of West Indies, and also the CARICOM, and also the Minister of Energy and Mining in Jamaica. There is other funding that we also was granted for to promote the capacity of the energy education in the region. And this was in collaboration with the university, a university in Finland, the University of Turku, and the Finland Future Research Centers, also the University of West Indies, and a university oriented in Cuba. The idea with those two projects, and the second one in particular, we are building the capacity for the modeling. This is an opportunity that is also being expanded now for an initiative through CARICOM to offer services of energy modeling to the region. So this is something that is going to provide funding for master's and PhD student research work. And as I mentioned earlier, the energy database for the Caribbean region that was built in collaboration with the Minister of Energy, OLADE, and CARICOM. Our faculty has area focus, and energy is probably the largest of this research work. In hydrogen, the fuel for automobiles, photovoltaic, there is a lot of fundings that we are currently have been granted to us to expand in the area of renewable energy, and focusing as well in waste management and biofuels. A lot of work done in biomass and natural fibers for the region. There is an initiative that is going to be funded by CARICOM as well that is looking at an energy atlas for the Caribbean. We are going to be looking the biomass profile for the region. We are going to be looking to the oceanograph, the waves. We are going to be looking as well for wind. So when you look at the Caribbean region and you see how closer is one island to the next, basically we are saying you are going to have an energy atlas that could allow the region to plan how we can be self-sustainable, and how can we reduce the fossil fuel impact in our community. We have the tribology, we have a UNESCO chair for tribology. There is a lot of research work done in our schools for tribology. And in the area of computer security is definitely one of the main areas for the School of Computing. And that's basically where our students and the staff is really focused on. We are seeing as the age for our graduates is ready graduates. We try to use as many research and entrepreneurship projects to involve our students. This is part of our curriculum. We teach in the classroom, but our students are always working in projects. Projects that allow them to pay the school fees in some instances, but as well, we are growing their readiness to be in the industry. We don't want them to spend 1-2 years to be ready. So we smarten them to the point that they are ready graduates. That's
it. Thank you, Nilza.
Thank you.
Carlos, close us out.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and again, thank you very much to EDI for inviting us and for the organizers of this panel to have me here. My purpose is to talk to you about two things. I am the president of the association, the Colombian Association of Engineering Faculties, engineering schools. And also, I am the dean, the engineering dean of the University of La Salle. So I'm going to try to accommodate both things, but mostly I'm interested in you to understand the country and what engineering education in the country is. This is the country. We have close to 1,000 programs in engineering, 96 denominations. We have, well, you see, 240 master programs, 40 PhD programs, 270,000 engineering students that come up to be 24% of all professional graduate students. So it still is a large percentage of the students that choose engineering as their career, their discipline. And we have about 5,000 full-time engineering teachers. Out of them, 8% have PhD. So that even though you have universities like the Universidad del Norte with 60%, in Jamaica you have 35%, my university we have 40% of the teaching staff with a PhD. As a whole, the country, it's not that bad. 8% of them have a PhD. All the universities, we have private and public universities. We see there the number 67% are private institutions, 33% are public. We also have 84% are universities, and the rest are other kind of higher education institutions. You could say they're colleges-like, but not exactly the same. We have strong drive in-house for every education institution to do the research. We don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what public policy is pushing us to. We have 5 institutions with ABET accreditation. Out of them, we have 19 programs with ABET accreditation. So this is not strange to us. Universities, even if they're public, they need to be non-profit institutions, and most of the students going to private universities, those private universities are either created by the productive sector wanted to make sure that there's good education for the future, or by religious Catholic, and most of them Catholic institutions, trying to educate the country and help the poor go to a better kind of social and quality of life. And we have 113 members. The association, as we said, the board tends to be from all around the country to make sure we represent the views of all the regions, developed, less developed, and most of the institutions educating engineering are part of this association. It's a very strong association. I will say it's the strongest engineering association in the region, and I think that's been key to the quality overall of the engineering education of the country. Being associated, being strong, having an annual meeting. We have an annual meeting, another annual international education encounter, we call it, that brings about 700 people. So bringing 700 people around engineering education every year tells you how strong and what's the credibility of the association, and it's through that we actually can impact the quality of engineering education as a whole. Our mission is quality, basically quality of education, but also helping the deans and helping the colleges to achieve what their tasks are, involving also research and innovation and other areas, but mostly quality in education. We, as a national association, we are advisory bodies for many government institutions, for local even institutions, and we are part of the professional associations, and we have strong agreements with other international organizations such as IFES, ASEE, ASEE, CEFI. In fact, we're going to have a PBL, large PBL event, the presentation you saw at lunch. We're going to have with Javier, who's going to accompany us, we're going to have a large PBL national event in July this year. And so basically this gives you an idea that if Colombia is a strong country for you to work with, you can go one-on-one, but you can also come through the association if you want to reach the country. We believe having this strong association has actually made us a strong quality in general, and we believe we are one of the, if you compare the quality of our graduates with the region, you will see that they are quite above the average, not to be more, I don't want to be too stiff, but just to give you an example, we usually go to the summer research camps of Delaware University. Usually a couple of professors go, or teachers go there. 2 years ago, we didn't have a teacher to go. So we convinced them to let us send them a student, just a new graduate. And then he went, and then immediately took him to do a PhD over there. So now this year we have 2 teachers going because they don't want to waste the opportunity. But it's just to give you an idea of if we can. Of course, he was an outstanding student, but if he didn't have a good education, we would have get him that far. But at the same time, we are not perfect. We have issues, as you do. We are still moving towards soft learning outcomes. We are very strong at discipline education, but it's hard to go that way. We have strong unbalance towards research. As I was saying, the national policies push us to do research, and that has somehow get away a little bit of hands-on experience in the education system. We are very weak on STEM as well. I was happy somehow to hear that you have some experiences to share with us, because we need to move that way. We are behind in sorry, it's wrongly written there. It's related to what Luis was saying about him growing in a country where engineers were important. That has been declining, and we believe that's important. We need to recover the role of leadership of engineers in our country. Still, they are there, but I think we have given away some things, and then business administrators and MBAs are taking over, and I think we should get some of that space back. What's coming in Colombia after the many needs? We are a developing country, name it, we have that need. But I think in terms of what's coming after this agreement with the guerrillas is that we have 50% of the country to develop. Country that was not accessible because of the process of the guerrillas. Now we need to make sure we do it right, how we build roads, how we build industries, how we provide energy, how we provide them with opportunities. I think it's the main things that we are interested in engineering to help us with. And then what we have to offer, and I want to show you a short video. And each university does their best to contribute. This is our La Salle University effort to contribute to peace. This is a 10-year process. We decided we need to educate leaders from those areas of violence and poverty to go back there and become the leaders of those areas. And then we said, let's teach them, let's train them as engineers, agronomical engineers, with a strong sense of leadership and social responsibility, and let's make sure they go back to where they came from. So if we bring them to Bogota, to where we have our main campus, they will not come back. So the university decided to build a campus, a rural campus. $20 million has been invested in this campus. And all the students have grants. They come from these areas. They come from areas from the guerrillas, areas from the paramilitary. They're usually enemies, if you wish. And they have to now sit there and work hand by hand and learn to understand and see that there is no difference among them. They work in agricultural labor from 5 a.m. till 9 a.m. so that they don't lose contact with their essence, and then they start getting formal training at 9 a.m. Till the rest of the day. And at the end of their project, of their studies, the graduation project must be a productive project back where they came from. So that's included in the grant, the resources for that project. And they need to go there and convince all the producers, because the project has to be an associative project, and they need to implement something associative where they came back. We so far have 150 graduates from this program. We already have local leaders in their own towns, and we have currently 250 students. Each student costs about $30,000, the full education, so it's also our work to go there to do fundraising to get this done. But with this, I wanted to show you, and you can stop please the video now because it's a bit longer. You can find the video in YouTube. It's Utopia, it's the name of the project, and La Salle, Colombia. And then if you want to know more about what we are, if you want to get really to know what the differences among are, because there are many universities interesting, you can come to our annual event. It's in September this year. We are very much interested in having you also as speakers, so please talk to me if you want to go there. I need to grab at least one or two of you to go there, so you will, but if you are interested, please let us know. We could organize also one-on-one meetings with the universities. As I told you before, we usually have around 700 people at this event. So this will be the great opportunity to get to know Colombia, get to know the universities of Colombia, but also get to know Cartagena, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me again thank all of our panelists. Now we have some time here for interaction and questions, and I'm just going to kick it off a little bit because I think you've covered a lot of the perspectives of your programs, and I hope everybody gets a sense of that. I think it's pretty obvious that there are some opportunities if you want to develop relationships, because they're growing a lot of their programs there. You were mentioning how many students have PhDs and how many don't and so on. But at the same time, you can see clear reaching out to European universities as much or more as US mainland universities. So anybody who would like to pick up on this, what do you feel are either challenges or opportunities to increase, say, collaborations between your programs and engineering programs on the US mainland? And I'm going to throw a little wrinkle into that. These recent developments here in the US about immigration policies, are they impacting the way you feel about things or where your students may be going or not? Just curious more than anything else. I don't know who would like to pick up on that. Cecilia, do you want to?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think there's a lot to collaborate on. And I'm just going to quickly explain an experience we had with Ivan Esparragosa from Penn State and somebody else from Kentucky University. We have intro to in mechanical engineering, and it was within ASEE, where these 3 professors from Ecuador and the 2 from the US started talking about what they did in their intro to mechanical engineering. And then they set up a project where all the students worked together in the same project. And it was quite an experience once we we had our first semester, we had some challenges as well because our intro to mechanical engineer was in our second to third year because we have a basic, a lot more science than in the US, a lot more credits than in the US in the beginning. And then the students from Penn State were first year. But nevertheless, the students got to speak to other students from the US and then added up Chile and Brazil, so it ended up being quite big. They talked to each other through social media, Facebook and Skype, and they presented their projects. So for our students, it was great because they reassured that they're doing very well in Ecuador. For the students from the US, I guess it was a new experience to see what was going outside, and that there's other students that are also doing their same discipline that can do the same or better. And the interaction was quite perfect. So I think we can, in terms of when we're talking about creative things that we can do, we don't only talking about our students to go and then our foreign students to come. But I think there is a full potential of working there. And another thing that I think is very important is we also have service. Our students have to do 160 hours of service. So we have set up about 100 projects with the community in terms of, in different areas, in particularly in engineering. And when we start talking about other universities, when they try to set up programs where international students can come and do, they always think about Spanish, and like general electives. And I'm thinking, why not technical electives? Now we have same accreditations that you guys have. You know, we've proved that we're as good as you guys are. So why don't we try to get something going with our students to think about technical or professional courses and get credit for it before, and not just Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So I think that's those two areas I think we can.
Well, I think a common thread, I mean, the service component is part of all of your programs. And in a way, I think some of what we're hearing that is being looked at here through Grand Challenge Scholars and so on is really bringing more of that element into our programs. But, you know, we're looking at programs here, and this, I remember the program I was in was a 5-year program, 150, 155 credit hours or more, because that person is walking out, you know, with this professional engineering degree to play roles in industry. Carlos, you said it was slipping a little bit, but they're still playing pretty big roles in that. So, you know, the joint program, the joint degree program you mentioned with USF, Javier, has that's worked out pretty well for you? Or
Yeah,
what?
this is a program that is, we have had good result with them. It is like this. The students stay in Colombia for 4 years, and then they move to US for 1 year, and they had the opportunity to get the dual degree. One degree, bachelor degree here in US, and the bachelor degree also in Colombia. That could be very important for the people in US for one reason. A couple of weeks ago, I was in the ERC meeting, that is the Engineering Research Council, and there was a discussion about how to attract better PhD students, and where can you find good students? With that kind of students that come for a dual degree, and you have the opportunity to evaluate them and to see how they works. And then could be a good opportunity not only for the student in Colombia, but also for the universities here in US. And another point that we can explore in the future could be working in the capstone design. In this moment, we are having a very nice experience with a university here in US, well, University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. There is one professor there, and there is one professor in Colombia, working together in a capstone design. There are a group of students in Colombia and another group of students in Urbana-Champaign, and they're working together to solve a problem. And they have meetings by Skype, different different ways. At the end of this semester, we are planning to give them the opportunity to be together. I don't know if in Illinois or maybe in Colombia. And this is another possibility to work together. In addition, I can tell you that is another option to collaborate with universities in US. We are having a couple of experience talking about dual degree programs in PhDs. It means something like this. A student can be, a PhD student can be in the middle between two professors, one professor in US and one professor in Colombia, for example, and a student has to be part of the time in Colombia and part of the time in US. It means that probably the student have to be 2 years, for example, in US and 2 years in Colombia. And if for a PhD student here in US, you have to pay for 4 years for them, tuition and the general expenses. In this case, you can pay only 2 years, and it means that you are going to have opportunity to have not only one student, maybe two, because the cost.
Sure, sure.
That is another option.
Luis, if I may,
No, I was going to say,
quickly-
Nilza, you had a comment you were going to
Yeah, well, we have a lot of experience in that. For example, we have a collaboration with Penn State University. The students from Penn State, they were doing a module called professional service, and for our student was a custom project. So we went together and we got funding from the National Foundation, to the point that we built basically some reactors, 2 bioreactors, one in Penn State and one to our university. And the student also did publications and reference journal papers as a result. And this was an undergraduate project. In general, we don't have a problem in collaboration with the United States universities. We have several projects that we have conducted, and we are looking, we have got funding for it. And students from undergraduate and master have been part of it. Also, for the supervision of our masters and PhD, definitely the PhD students in our university is done with this collaboration with FIU, also from Penn State, also the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. So there is a professor from this university that has served as an external examiner for our programs that became, when he completed his time, he became basically an adjunct to our university. So that allows us to supervise the PhD students. So that's the way that we collaborate.
Carlos, just
yes, and you were asking how it's working and how can we improve that. I think it's working well. I mean, we also have very good experiences to show as the Delaware thing I was talking to you about, and but we also do, for example, the air quality modeling, and then so we have a couple of relationships with the universities in Florida, in North Carolina as well, and then we have developed the model for air quality in Bogota. For example, we're working for the National Agency on Ecopetrol to devise the policies on the quality of fuel associated to what the quality of air in the cities would be. But my point is that I would like to ask you to be less shy and go farther out, and don't choose only the best universities. Everyone has something to offer, and that if you don't get anything back, well, you didn't lose much, you know. But just go out there and then try to help everyone, because we need to concentrate not only on the best universities. We have a lot to offer. Projects like the one I said about Bogota, you won't get that easily around here. But down there, because a municipality doesn't have a lot of resources to do this kind of stuff, then you can get the opportunity to get hands-on in interesting stuff. Test your ideas, test your hypotheses over there. And the second thing is that this social engagement in the universities, it's quite common down there. And for example, we have courses where it's an actual course where you need to go, small groups, go and work with different communities to solve problems of the communities. I cannot tell you how hard it is to get enough arrangements with enough communities to have all these teams to go out there. But once it's in place, it's very interesting. And then, for example, we are now finalizing an arrangement with the University of Beauvais in France, because their students need to spend 1 semester away. And they want us to take some of their students because they find very interesting that they get exposed to these possibilities.
So I think, we may have time maybe just for one question. I'm just curious though, how many of you out there have any kind of relationship or interaction with any of the universities in Latin America? Show of hands. Pretty sparse, right? Pretty sparse. And I think part of this is the opportunity that there is out there. I know we're a little tight, but we started just a little bit late. If we could take a question or two here, I'll play in. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Outside of the financial challenges of sending students off, what could you say have been some of the barriers that you have found of making these connections happen?
Anybody want to pick up on that? Outside of the financial things, any barriers to make that relationship? Is it the language? Is it the
Yes.
language
No,
that's the barrier?
well, no in our case.
Not in your case,
No,
of
in our
course.
case
Yeah.
shouldn't
yeah.
be a problem.
Yes, well, in our case, is a little bit the language, but also is the difficulty to finding a long-term relationship that doesn't get immediate results. It's just like you establish something and then you're happy about this, but if in 6 months you don't get resources, then everything dies down. So I think sadly it's to do with resources in the end.
Okay.
I can add something.
Go ahead, yeah.
Well, this is like politicians, that you change from one party to the next. And in Jamaica, we have something called like the permanent secretariat. That's supposed to be the person that keep projects going. And this is something that I found as dean, that I inherited about 40-something MOU. And I start visiting and trying to contact all these universities all over the world. And I end up with basically 22 are the only that I could find the persons and continue to collaborate. So I am trying to do now is that when we sign an MOU, we try to find a more solid link. That if I am no longer the dean or I am no longer there is a sort of continuity into the process. And that is what I think is probably one of the challenges that we have.
Yeah.
That if somebody move from this university to the next, basically this project just stay there hanging and we just can't continue.
Because it depends so much on individuals. I think we've got, is there any other question out there? We can entertain maybe one more question or so. And then,
I would like to add something.
yeah, let me make sure that, well, Javier, go ahead. You add
Yes,
something, we'll close out.
I think financially it could be a very important barrier because we are competing with Europe, and you know that in Europe there's no tuition for students, and probably it could be cheaper for a student to go to Europe. That could be important. And what I think it could be the option to do something in this way, maybe to promote that a student from US go to Latin America, maybe one each to its side, exchange program, and then the student probably need to pay only the original in the origin university. That could be
Sure.
that could be promote students.
Well, I think a key of this is, again, if one just simply looks at having a relationship because somebody, like Cecilia said, will pick up another language, it's really the immersion experience. These programs provide opportunities in engineering education, many of them, that we're not providing, frankly, okay, in ways that they're doing it. Of course, they're linked a lot to national needs and national impacts. And I have this little conversation with our own students, and I'll tell them, I said, speaking in sort of analytical terms, I say, if you spend all of your life with one language and one culture, you can have a great life, right? Google translates and all that kind of stuff. But let's add another language and another culture. It's not just simply x-axis and adding y-axis, we're adding area. It's a much bigger domain. And if you add a third language and a third culture, it's now volume. And that's the playground that you can play in comfortably. And I think, quite honestly, a number of the students at your universities are in a broader playground just because of the way, the emphasis that you have on some of these programs. I'd just like to see if there would be ways that we could enhance the education of our own students by building these relationships even stronger. But given that we're here in Miami, and we heard that presentation last night about the Port of Miami and the way it plays in commerce and how much of that was a result of the interactions with Latin America, it seems to me that if there is ever an opportunity that still has not been moved on nearly as much as it should be, is the relationship with these universities and colleagues of ours who have come in our direction through ABET accreditation and other things. Now the question is, what are we doing to move in their direction as well? Let me thank each and every one of them, Cecilia, Javier, Nilza, and Carlos. Thank you very much. A round of applause for them, okay? And now it's what? Fiesta, no? Break time? Is that what it is?
Break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a short break. We'll see you in 15 minutes. Thank you.